was very liberating and relaxing.
What? Liberating?
Oh, absolutely, because you're when you go into hypnosis, you're freeing yourself into more of your consciousness.
Right.
So anywhere where you were subconsciously holding tension in your consciousness because of whatever reasons, that's all softening and releasing. And then so you get to experience more of yourself and more of your unconscious potential. So you literally feel like you're going from caterpillar to butterfly.
That's an interesting way to put it. And wow. So like when I guess that's like because typically all of us have what I consider like walls, or we
Yep.
naturally kind of keep ourselves in, and we don't really share it. So by being hypnotized, it's basically your walls slowly come down, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the purpose of hypnosis, the true purpose is to help you better understand yourself.
What?
Yep. That's
Oh, that's like mind blowing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know these things, because of the media and but it also depends on the hypnotist. Like
Right.
going to a hypnotist is like going to a hairdresser. They're not all the same.
Right.
So but like if we go back to its ancient roots back in ancient Egypt, the true purpose of hypnosis is that it's to root more strongly into your being and your true natural vibration so you understand who you are at the deepest level. And then once you have strong roots in your being, then you can make your way higher into what people call enlightenment.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I can go on about this for such a long time. That's so cool.
Yes, so many people think of hypnosis as like you're going to be unconscious or you're going to lose control or say your secrets that you don't want to say, but
Right.
it's the furthest thing from that. You're not unconscious whatsoever. You're actually going into a heightened state of consciousness.
Right.
So
Right.
you're getting more of your senses, more of your awareness.
Oh, we're
Oh,
officially I'm officially going live in case
cool.
anyone is joining now. So I've turned us on onto YouTube. Hi YouTube. And we're officially live. So thank you so much. So I want to just start off and introduce myself for those of you that don't know me. My name is Rechie Valdez. I am the host for these battle live events. So I'm super excited today because here in front of you, you will meet David Lyon, who is a mystic, spiritual leader, and speaker. Welcome, David.
What's going on? How you doing?
A little bit about David. So he was born and raised in Montreal and is a modern day magician, ushering in his own style and adding a unique twist to a timelessness and on the mysterious art forms of illusion, mentalism, and hypnosis. So, David, you have, I heard you had been in the presence of Drake. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a dream come true. It's actually a pretty magical story. Um, just because the way that it happened, I remember very vividly. This is back in the end of 2010, I believe. This is right when he put out his first album, his first mixtape. And I had just finished filming a bunch of street magic videos with my boy O'Neill at the time. And we were just feeling really proud of ourselves. We accomplished a lot and we were in my room. And as we're jamming in my room, we were listening to Drake because his music used to inspire a lot of my creativity. And we were specifically listening to the song Closer to My Dreams. And I remember as I was listening to it, I was getting more inspired. And I just said to myself in a very genuine way, I really wish I could meet him just to shake his hand and say thank you. And as soon as I said that, I got a flash of inspiration in my consciousness. And that flash all it did is it told me to make a demo video, like a montage out of all my street magic videos. So it wasn't seemingly connected to Drake, but that came in for a reason. And so we acted on it. I made a demo video. We put it out online. That video ended up making its way to World Star and it went viral. I got known as the Black David Blaine. And from there, City TV reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come perform live on TV in Toronto on Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
And that ended up being my first TV performance. And through that performance, people saw it. And somehow to this day, I don't know how this guy got my phone number, but this guy named Israel got my number. He called me up right after my TV performance. He's like, hey, how would you like to perform for Drake on Boxing Day? And I was just like, what? Yeah, let me think about it. No, I was like, yeah, I'm down. And so, I went to the place and it was a private event. So there was no fans or groupies. It was just a bunch of other celebrities and industry people. And it was really an amazing experience to get to perform for him, because he was so humble about everything. You know, like he gave me a shout out on camera, which is on my YouTube channel. And even at the end of the event, he came up to me, he was just like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you're going to go really far, man, and you're going to be very successful." And so that was my experience with Drake. Really cool dude.
It's amazing. And like, I mean, you're such a dynamic individual with so many different facets, and none of which I've ever learned. So I love hearing about kind of like your story and everything else. So you've combined everything, all these different aspects into Lionism. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Lionism, yeah. So Lionism is something that I created as my way of saying that I was creating my own world. You know, at the time when I came up with Lionism, it was just my way of saying, like, you know, Buddha found his own ism and it was Buddhism. My name's Lion, so Lionism. That was really the thinking behind it, because I've always been someone who believes very strongly in my own heart and imagination. So Lionism was just a way of capturing the expression of my art, and and saying that it's my own brand and my own breed of magic. Because with Lionism, it's not just magic. It was a mixture of magic, mind reading, hypnosis, and other abilities. So that when I perform, you never quite know if it's just a trick or if it's real. You know, I like to blur the lines between the two so that it really makes you open your mind to greater possibilities.
That's amazing. And you, even as a speaker yourself, what's the furthest you've ever gone in terms of like being out there and asking to speak?
Furthest I've ever gone and was is definitely Atlanta, and that was one of my favorite talks. Um, you know, I got to speak in front of a group of about 400 or 450 wealthy Black entrepreneurs, which at the time felt very intimidating because I was 25 years old and not wealthy. You know, so I'm like, you know, why would they want to listen to me? Was the feeling that I had. But you know, I ended up seeing very quickly that, you know, of course I did have something to share, you know, and it was all about my talk was all about learning how to dance with life, you know, so that you're not pushing against life, but you're allowing yourself to be pulled by life and living in alignment. So it was all about learning flow.
That's amazing. And speaking of flow and alignment, I mean, given the pandemic situation that we're in, this specific topic that you wanted to talk about, creating clarity from chaos, a lot of us are going through, even speaking for myself, like a lot of us are going through such a crazy amount of transition and change. So, this topic that you're going to kind of walk us through is so timely right now. So, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your insight. And this anything you wanted to add before we jump into it, why you chose this topic and why you thought it was important to share today?
The simple answer is just that it was inspired. It was just very clear to me when you guys reached out and asked me to do this. That's just what dropped into my consciousness, and you know, and I always go with my first inspiration, and it's something that I embody very well. You know, no matter what's going on in the world or in my own world or, you know, the outside world, I'm very good at remaining in states of clarity and ease and joy and playfulness, which allows me to stay in tune with things like creativity and inspiration and intuition, which are the resources that we need to navigate ourselves through times like these.
Right. That's amazing. So I'll pass it over to you so you can kind of speak to us about creating clarity from chaos.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And I will say that we are here to raise funds in support of the SickKids Children's Foundation, as well as Montreal Children's Hospital Foundation. And so if you'd like to go and make a donation, the link can be found in the Battle Canada Instagram. All right. So, mm, creating clarity from chaos. So, like I said, the reason why I really felt that this topic was important to speak on is because there's a lot of people who are freaking out right now. There's a lot of people in stress, there's a lot of people in chaos, and there's a lot of people who just can't see that silver lining as to how to navigate themselves and how things can possibly be better, not realizing that there's also another side of the coin where there are so many people who are actually thriving during these times and doing better now than they were even before. You know, so I want to kind of bridge that gap and create possibility, very practical possibility for others who might be in those states of frustration and stuckness and resistance, and hopefully show a way where you can also experience clarity in this chaos. So that's my intention with this talk. Um, and I guess the most important thing that I want to start by saying is I like to look at the higher purpose of everything. That helps me navigate myself. So there's a lot going on in the world, with the coronavirus and the way it's affecting the economy and everything like that. And when I look at the higher purpose of everything and what's unfolding, what I see personally is there's this call for greater unity, greater harmony. Everything's coming into greater unity and harmony, and we see emanations of this. We'll see people coming together more and just working together more. We see more generosity-based systems being created. And what's interesting even to me is, even though we're all at home in quarantine, there's so many people who are actually experiencing even more togetherness because we're online doing events like these, having these little powwows. And so, I could see these ripples of unity happening. And so I think it's important, first and foremost, to set our sights and our focus on what's happening. And that is, there's a greater call for unity. And it's not just unity amongst each other. It's also unity with life in and of itself, the very energy and essence of life. So in these times, the thing that I most want to shine light on and highlight is to recognize that regardless of what's going on around you, the most helpful states of being that you can find your way into, and we're going to talk about tools to do this in a second, but the most helpful states of being that you could find your way into are states of joy, states of harmony, states of clarity, states of inspiration. If you think about it, this is the only time in the history of Earth that I know about where the governments are literally saying that the best thing you can do to help the planet is stay home. Like, that's a pretty good gift if you look at it from one perspective, right? And yes, there's people freaking out about money, this, that, and the other, but like, let's look at this step by step. We're being told to stay home, and that's the best thing that we can do for the planet, which means we have all the space and time in the world to ask ourselves what's really important to us, ask ourselves what we really want to create with our lives, and we have all the space and time in the world to actually live from our dreams, to create our dreams. We're being asked to go more inwards and to shift, I believe, from being human doings, who are all focused on what do I need to do, what do I need to do, to being human beings again, to learn how to be. And that's a challenging thing for a lot of people because, so many people have that hustle and grind mindset of like, all right, well, I got to be productive, I got to hustle, I got to grind. And you're not allowed to do that anymore, right? And so this is where there's opportunity, because I believe that the opportunity that's present is you now have the opportunity to find a way to create new foundations inside yourself so that you can build your life from a space of, okay, well, what excites me? What inspires me? What dreams have I put on the back burner? What inspirations have I put on the back burner? So these are some great questions that we can ask ourselves to start to align with the possibility that's present for us. And even greater than that, even just on a health level, with this whole pandemic going around, there's a doctor named Bruce Lipton. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bruce Lipton, but he put out a video. I suggest you look him up on YouTube, but he put out a great video where he explains how even on a health level, the best thing that we can do is to learn states of joy. Because what he breaks down is that when you're in states of fear and stress, it actually breaks down your immune system and makes you more prone to viruses. It's states of fear and stress that do that. On the flip side, when we learn how to go into states of joy and love and harmony, then it actually nourishes our immune system and makes us more healthy, literally. So from that perspective, what he's saying is that fear is the actual virus and love is the cure. Because when we're in those states of fear, we're breaking down our immune system, right? And so I just thought that was a really interesting perspective, because he even goes on to say how, all these viruses, including the coronavirus and even things like cancer, already exist in our system. This is a scientific fact. These things already exist in our system. The thing that keeps the antibodies there and keeps us on par is our inner health, right? It's our ability to stay in harmony with ourselves. So even from a scientific and health perspective, what's being said is the most important thing that you can do for yourself right now is to find states of joy and to get out of fear and panic, right? So with that said, what I most want to shine light on now is what you can do. How can you move into greater states of clarity from this chaos? Well, as a hypnotist, I like to look at the mind, right? I look at people's limiting beliefs and their subconscious patterns. And I also speak from my own experience. This is something that I embody myself. So the most important thing that you can do right now, so if you're in a state of trying to figure things out and you're just like, oh, I got to figure something out, because if not, my family, if not, then money. That state alone, you'll notice, is a heavy state. It causes friction in your body. It causes stress. It causes anxiety. It's not a good state. It's not a preferred state. So instead, what you can learn to do is, and what I invite people to do, is to shift into a state of what I'll call openness, letting yourself just be open and curious for what life has to give you. And when I say life, what I mean is, we all know that when inspiration strikes, it's like the best thing in the world, right? Because when we get inspiration, it tells us exactly what we need to do. It feels magical, it feels good, and it just leads to this path of least resistance when we act on our inspirations. The question is, how do we access states of inspiration? How do we access states of clarity? And the way that I teach people to do that is to take a moment to just stop, to give yourself permission to let go of needing to figure things out, needing to grind and hustle. And instead, what I'd like to show you is a way you could tune into where things are already figured out for you. Things are going to be much lighter that way. So the way that we do this is we allow ourselves to let go of what's not working and just allow yourself to go into a state of openness, a state of, you know what? The truth is, I don't know what to do. The truth is, I don't know how to figure things out. I don't know, what to do about the situation. So all I could really do is just be open and see what wants to come in, because there is inspiration, there is clarity and guidance that is wanting to come in, but you need to get out of the way. People need to learn how to get out of the way to let that in, right? And so the way that we do this is by letting go of what's not working, what's causing friction and tension, and going, you know what? I'm just going to be open. I'm going to be curious about what's wanting to come in. And you know what? I actually really just feel like going for a little walk or reading a book or playing with my kids. Anything that is in the direction of a lighter feeling is a good move. And everyone knows what is the direction of a lighter feeling, right? You know that if you keep going into figuring out mode, that's a heavier feeling. So it's going to lead towards more heavier realities and heavier thoughts. But if you stop and go, all right, how can I move in the direction of a lighter feeling? How can I just be open to what's wanting to happen? There's going to be new pings in your consciousness, as I call them, new pings in your consciousness, where you could just be like, okay, I feel like doing this, and now I feel like doing that. And you just start to follow this trail of your excitement. You start to follow this trail of your playfulness, of your inspiration, of your joy. And as you do that, you start to go, if your energy is over here, you start to go into lighter states and lighter states and lighter states until you get into the vibrational vicinity of inspiration. And all of a sudden, while you're doing something that you're having fun with, inspiration comes in and you're just like, oh, that's it. It's true. That's what I've always wanted to do, but I forgot about that dream since I was a child because I spent so much time doing this, right? These things are wanting to happen for you. These things are wanting to happen for everyone. And this is part of the unity that's wanting to happen. It's the unity between you and life, or you and your soul, you and your spirit, whatever word you want to put there. It doesn't matter to me, but the energies of excitement, passion, joy, creativity, love, inspiration, intuition. These are all the energies of our soul, of our higher self. So anytime you feel that energy pulling you somewhere, if you feel excitement pulling you this way, but your mind's like, but I have to do this, but excitement's pulling you this way, that is your soul saying, hey, come this way, come tune into where I've already figured things out for you, because this will lead you to clarity, this will lead you to inspiration, this will lead you to guidance, and you can trust me, right? So that is how we could start to shift into more clarity if we so choose.
That's amazing. I'm I totally want to jump in there because something really important. Well, you've said a lot of important things, but the thing that I want to really kind of touch on specifically is this childlike state as we grow up from, into adults, and there's so many influences, right? There's parental influences, there's peer influences, and a lot of that ends up bogging you down. I love what you said as far as the childlike state, because going back to a time when, because when we were kids, we just did whatever we wanted. Like if we wanted to play, we played. We just let our spirit guide us just like that, and we never had to worry about what was in our mind. We just followed whatever we wanted to do within our heart. So I really love that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and if you think about it, the thing that we've all really got locked out of is our unfulfilling jobs and our playing small versions of our passions. So there are, for example, there's the musical artist who was playing at the dive bars week after week, making some money, but they know that that was them playing small, right? They that wasn't their highest excitement, but it's what they thought they had to do. What we got locked out of is the things that weren't really fulfilling us fully. And so we've been given the opportunity to be like, hey, wake up, there's more for you. There's so much more.
That's amazing. And then if I just go back here to the states of joy, um, it's interesting because to each person, we all desire different states of joy at different times in our life. So can you go a little deeper on, um, like how you gave us a couple tips on how to like release like fears and panic, but anything you can go deeper on those states of joy and how to get there.
And how to get into states of joy. The simple answer is step one is by being willing to let go of what's not serving you.
Mm.
Because joy is our natural state. The only thing that's keeping us from that natural state is the beliefs that we have to be doing things that aren't serving us. So the belief that we need to hustle or figure things out. So it's being willing to let go of the things that we can see aren't serving us because it's causing us stress, it's causing us anxiety, and it's not pushing the needle forward. Even if you look at it logically, it's like, this isn't actually helping. We're running old programs thinking that if I keep doing this because it's worked for me in the past, maybe that it'll do something, it'll change something. But if we keep doing what we've always done, you're just going to keep getting what you've always gotten.
Yeah.
Right. And so step one is really being really honest with yourself and being willing to let go of the things that truly aren't serving you and that are causing you stress, causing you anxiety. And from that space, being willing to just be curious and open to let new pleasures in. Give yourself permission to have fun again. Give yourself permission to do the things that you've put off for so long. Maybe you've just been wanting to take a nice bubble bath, you know, right? Maybe you've been wanting to read that book, but you've thought that you can't. Right? Because you have to look at it this way as well. In every moment, we're feeding one of two things. We're either feeding our soul or our fears. And when we feed our fears with our soul's like, oh, I really want to take a bubble bath, but our fears is like, no, I have to find a way because my family, right? You're feeding your fears, so you're going to create more fear, and you're going to break down your body and your immune system and just create more stress and anxiety.
Right.
If you choose to feed your soul, that means you're choosing to feed the part of you that makes you feel more light, makes you feel more enlightened. And as you feel lighter, you start to tune into lighter thoughts and lighter feelings, which makes you think in lighter ways and take lighter actions.
Mm.
And right? And so as you do that more and more, you start to experience things more like I said, like inspiration, intuition, creativity. Because I can guarantee that everyone here listening has an intuition that they've placed on the back burner, that for some reason they're not listening to because their mind's telling them something else, but their intuition's like, hey, like if you come this way, I've got things figured out for you. Because think about this. How often has your intuition been right in those situations where you're like, ah, I should have listened to my intuition, right? It's, whether it's with the guy that you knew you shouldn't have dated, or the job, our intuition is literally right 100% of the time.
Right.
And I challenge people to go and to look at their intuitions and to see this for themselves, to see it logically, so they could bring logic to their intuition.
Mhm.
When you start to see that your intuition is always right, you need to ask yourself, why am I not betting on it? Why am I not listening to it more? Why do I think I know better than my intuition? Right? And to be clear, our intuition is that voice, it's that feeling, it's that pull that always seems very simple, clear, and direct. It's usually just like, time to let go, or no, don't do that. He's not right for you, right? Simple, clear, and direct. It's never long-winded. It's just take a bath. That would feel good,
Mhm.
right? So imagine that this is the picture I like to paint for people, is imagine you're in a forest, and it's a very thick, lush forest, and all you know is that miles ahead in the distance, straight ahead of you, is paradise. It's heaven. That's where you're wanting to get to. And you have three paths. You could either go straight, you can go left, or you can go right. Now, logically, your mind might go, okay, well, I'm trying to get to paradise, which is right ahead of me. I should go straight. But your intuition, which is the voice of your soul, is the one that has the bird's eye view. It's hovering above this forest, and it can see that it's like, no, you should go left. And it's giving you this pull of excitement, of joy, of playfulness. It's just like, oh, but go left. But your mind looks to the left and it's just like, oh, well, that looks dangerous, or that wouldn't be very responsible of me, right? That's the limiting mind. But your intuition speaking to you with good feelings, hoping that you're going to listening to it. It's just, come on, it's fun, it's playful. Because your intuition, your soul can see that if you go straight, what you don't know is that after walking for a while, there's going to be a cliff that you did not see from where you were standing, and you're going to end up having to backtrack, and it's going to take you that much longer. Where had you gone left, it's actually not only the most fun path, but it's the path of least resistance that will allow you to get to where you're going even sooner. So even from a logical standpoint, it's understanding that our intuition is actually our higher logic. It can see the equation greater. So when it tells you these things like go take a bath, even though it doesn't make sense to your logical mind, your intuition knows that when you do that, you're going to lighten up, you're going to soften up, and you're going to get new ideas, new thoughts, new actions, new feelings that will lead you towards greater things.
Right. I think one of the most important things you said was you're trying to remind us to trust ourselves, trust our own intuition. A lot of times there's so many things that hold us back from
Yes.
just doing that alone.
Yes.
So for those who are struggling, like really struggling with that, you're encouraging us to let go of the wheel,
Yes.
trying to like drive and control everything, um, and tapping into our creative intuitive selves type thing, right?
Absolutely. Like, have you ever noticed how for the most part, when you go on vacation, let's say, and you finally give yourself permission to have a vacation, and you go on vacation, and it just immediately you feel excited, you feel lit up, you're like, oh yes, you feel free. So now you're in tune with your soul, you're feeling those energies of your soul, and then you go on that vacation, and you notice that things just happen so effortlessly and smoothly, and it's right place, right time, and all of a sudden your room gets upgraded, and this is given to you and that is given to you. You're just in this flow because you listened to your soul. You gave yourself permission to experience life as a vacation, right? And so it's not that you went on vacation, it's that you gave yourself permission to experience life as a vacation. That was the shift that was actually done. So that's what I'm really alluding to over here, is that we can choose to live like that on a day-to-day basis. It takes practice, especially when you have a momentum built in the other direction. It'll take practice to stop yourself and be like, okay, wait, what I really feel like doing, your mind might be like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. Okay, acknowledge that, check. Now, what do I really feel like doing? And then in that moment, you've just created a space where you could be like, well, I really feel like reading a book or spending time with my wife, but I have to do this. In that moment, that's where you get to choose what you're going to feed, your limitations or your soul, your fear or your soul. And and it's your choice. Both choices are valid. But do you want the lighter reality or do you want the heavier reality?
That's and it's an easy way for people to digest what's lighter. Or when you're making a decision, like one way to look at it that's very uncomplicated is this choice going to bring me joy? Is it going to be lighter? Or is this choice going to give me more stress and anxiety? So that's a simple way of just making decisions. Because right now, I think everyone is just going through difficult times.
Absolutely.
I love the simplicity of that advice because it's a really good reminder for us all to again trust ourselves and kind of head in a direction or make better choices for ourselves so we can get more like centered or more authentic and live more authentically.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's meant to be simple, right? It's meant to be, if it's not simple, it's not worth it, is what I always say. Like even if you look at stress as a mechanism or as an emotional indicator, stress is the indicator that you're not doing something your soul's way. That's all stress. It's just a messenger. So your soul's trying to go this way and you're trying to go this way. So it's causing stress in your body. Same thing with anxiety. Anxiety has a few other things in it. Anxiety could be too much looking in the future and stuff like that. But they're just messengers. Fear is a messenger, stress is a messenger. If you give it that perspective, you could ask it, okay, well, what is this trying to show me? Oh, well, I'm not listening to myself. I'm not listening to my intuition because I think I know better.
Mm.
Right? So it's really important. It's really important.
What tips can you give anyone? And for those who have tuned in, if you have any questions, feel free to like ask it in the little Q&A below, and we'll definitely answer them. What tips can you give folks who, um, like for meditating? Like
Mm.
how can we at home, because we're home,
Yep.
how can we get to a place of, um, meditation? Do you have any tips on that?
Absolutely. So I'll give two tips. So one, go to my YouTube channel. That's the simplest way. I've created many meditations on there, made especially for people who have trouble meditating. So there's a lot of people who they're like, I don't get it. I sit there and my mind just runs and I'm just waiting for time to be done and I'm not doing it properly. The reason why people have a problem with meditation is because it's just not engaging enough. The way they're not doing the right style of meditation. So it's the same thing. If you were to go and watch a movie that you completely don't like and that you're not into, you're going to sit there the whole time waiting for it to be over and your mind's going to be talking, talking, talking. Where on the other hand, if you go see a movie that you love, you're just completely engaged, not noticing the pass of time. The same can be true with meditation. So what I'm really passionate about is creating really fun and engaging meditations that anybody can use to experience more light in their body, to alleviate stress, and to just give themselves a great reset. Because every once in a while, people need a reset button. If you're looking for that reset button, on my channel, there's a video called Unlock Your Gifts. It's either Unlock Your Gifts or Unlock Your Magic, but one of the two. And so that's a really great one. It's 20 minutes long. You close your eyes and you just let it take you on a ride. That's all you got to do. And so very powerful, highly recommend it. For my second suggestion is when you meditate, rather than where people go wrong is they try and stop their mind, right? And that's just a battle you're not going to win. So what I suggest people do is rather than try and stop their mind, to focus on just feeling. So when you close your eyes, and I could even give a mini experience right now. Yeah, cool. So as you sit there and you just listen to me, all I want you to do is to just begin to relax and just feel your body softening. You don't need to do anything. You don't even need to nod your head. You can just let yourself relax and allow yourself to just begin to feel everything that's going on inside of you without any resistance to it, without judging it, but just allowing yourself to begin to feel everything that's going on inside of you. So that as you do that, you just begin to breathe. And you don't need to breathe in any special way, but you're just taking a moment to breathe right up the center of your forehead, as if you're breathing at 12 o'clock. Gently. And as you continue to breathe in this way, you'll find that you can begin to soften. And you can notice that you can become aware of the temperature on your skin. You can become aware of the sounds around you. And you could become aware of how much more relaxed you can let yourself become now.
Your voice is so calming. I was like, whoa. Everybody, this is how he does it. It's his serene voice.
Yeah,
oh
so
my gosh. I almost like, I honestly was just like, I passed out. That's amazing. And
right?
that's just like a teaser, people.
And that was a really, simple experience where essentially all I'm doing is I drop myself into the state and then I bring you there. So I'm like a tuning fork. So that's a lot of what I create for people, is just giving them that space to feel more of themselves so that they can feel more of the light and clarity that's wanting to enter, and they can move and approach life with a softer touch.
Right. Personally, I'm a super busy mommy. So for someone like myself who's a busy mommy, we get pulled around. Like I get pulled into so many different directions. And I mean, given this time, like I think it's really great to just have time to like tune into yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think the message that you've said a few times now is giving ourselves permission. I don't think we do that enough, David. We don't give ourselves enough to be free. We don't give ourselves enough permission to just like do what we want to do.
Yeah.
I love that message.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people don't realize the importance of putting yourself first. They're like, oh, that's selfish. Oh, that's bad. But when you put yourself first in the things that are speaking to your soul, you're filling up your own cup, right? You're allowing yourself to feel lighter. You're allowing yourself to feel more joyful. You're allowing yourself to feel more healed, more clear, so that you essentially feel like more of yourself, and then you have more of yourself to give. So it's actually the thing that will be of highest service to even your family, would be for you to give more time to yourself, so that you're not sharing stress and anxiety with them just because of like, oh, I got to be here, my family needs me. Instead, you could actually share more joy and lightness with them because you gave to yourself first. And so you're being an example of joy rather than being an example of self-sacrifice.
Yeah, I love that because I find that when I'm more centered and I'm the most happiest, then it's easier for me to kind of give back to my own kids and my own family. So you're 100% right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the same is true for everyone, because it comes down to, what do you want to be teaching your family and your kids, because our kids learn energetically. It's, we might say certain things with our words, but they feel us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if they're seeing you constantly self-sacrifice, then they're learning, okay, love is self-sacrifice. Right? If they're seeing you giving to yourself and showing up with joy, they're like, oh, love is filling up, putting yourself first and filling up your own cup and then giving from your overflow.
Mm. That's amazing. So I just want to like kind of summarize. I've learned so much today. This is amazing, David. So in terms of I think this is a really key line for anyone that missed the beginning. It's moving from a state of us being human doings to human beings.
That's it.
That
Yeah.
is a remarkable statement, because I think that robotically we end up becoming human doings automatically.
That's how a lot of society is conditioned. It's what do I need to do? What do I got to do? What do I got to do? Like, you're not a human doing. Let your doing be inspired from your being. Instead of wondering, what do I need to do? Ask yourself, who would you like to be? What would you like to feel more of in your life? What feelings would you love to feel more of in your life? Do you want to feel more excitement? Do you want to feel more freedom? Do you want to feel more joy? If you cater to your beingness, it'll be inspired through your actions as well. It'll feel, even when you're doing things, it won't even feel like you're doing things. Like, that's like the artist who was just like, the song wrote itself. It didn't feel like I was writing the song. It's like it just happened through me. That's because it's a state of being. And that's what I believe is being called forth from us during these times, is for us to return to our state of being, to return home inside of ourselves.
That's amazing. I haven't gotten any questions from anybody, but the one last thing I'll touch on just to leave off with everybody is just something you said earlier, which was listen to those subtle pings.
Yes.
On our freaking cell phones, we have 1,000 pings of notifications, right?
Yep.
But this whole idea of listening to your own personal pings, like what are you being drawn to? Listen to your own pings.
And paying attention to how light the frequency of those pings are, the texture of them. Is it a ping that feels heavy and like, or is it a ping that's like, oh, that feels good? So paying attention to the texture of the pings is also very helpful in guiding yourself and making you feel more light. Because at the end of the day, I don't mean to sound cliche, but this is all about love, right? It's stepping into more love. It's stepping into more of who you truly are. That's what's being asked right now. Who do you want to show up as? Do you want to continue your life from here on out as a lighter, more joyful, greater being, so that you create your life from those energies, from that foundation? You create your dreams from lightness and joy and playfulness, so it has that texture? Or do you want to create your dreams or your next steps from stress and anxiety, so that no matter what you achieve, it'll still have the texture of stress and anxiety? We're being asked to pay attention to our feelings, to our states of being, and what we truly want for ourselves. And this is where the love comes in, because it's like, it's loving yourself, it's choosing yourself, it's honoring yourself, it's being one with yourself, so that we could serve as an example of that for others. That is the most helpful thing we can do for the planet and people right now, is to be examples of what it looks like to choose ourselves, to honor ourselves, and love ourselves. Because then people will be like, huh, that's a good idea. That's inspiring. I should do more of that myself too, because it's working for that person. I'm inspired by people's happiness, by people's joy. I'm not inspired by people's bank accounts. Like, I care more about the happy wealthy person than the stressed wealthy person. Yeah. So these are the things that we can do to shift more into those states and to create more clarity from the chaos.
This is amazing. Like, I've learned so much, David. Thank you so much for your time. I can't thank you enough. I'm sure that everyone who's also going to be tuning in or listening in have learned a lot from you as well. So just a reminder, we are here raising funds for our mission in support of SickKids Foundation and the Montreal Children's Hospital Foundation. So if you visit our Battle Canada Instagram page, you'll go to our link and you'll find our donation link right there to SickKids. So thank you very much, David, for your time. I've really appreciated all of what you've said. I've personally learned so much from you as well. During this time, I only wish you the very, very best with everything else you're doing. You inspire me daily, actually. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And likewise, thank you for having me here. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody. And thanks again for tuning in into our Battle Canada live event. Have yourself a good night. Bye.
Bye. Take care.